Okay, good morning, students. Hello, hello. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So we will start now. Okay, it's in previous lecture or in previous two lectures we have started with structures. Okay, and we have gone through how to declare a structure, how to declare structure variable, how to initialize your structure variable. So this is an example of declaration of structure, and we are going to follow this type def declaration of structure along with type def, which is responsible to create, or using this type def we are creating the user defined data type, uh, that is book. And for that book we have declared three variables called book 1, book 2, book 3. Okay, and this is how you can initialize, as we have discussed in the last lecture. So declaration and initialization should be in the same line. So if you are declaring a variable and initializing somewhere else in your program, so that is not accepted. So you have to just remember that thing. So declaration of variable and initialization of variable can be, it should be in a same line. Okay, this is how we can declare your structure variable. Okay, and we have just gone through reading of structure, assigning values or getting values of structure member through user. That is possible using the scanf, as well as for character members, posting members of that structure, we are using getters. So as in the previous class we have discussed one issue of using two getters. Okay, so that can be if anybody else is trying and if you are getting that problem, you have to use f flush all, f flush. Okay, std in this function you can add before getters. Okay, before this function, so that
मैम
that issue
गेटेस के पहले नहीं, एफ गेटेस के पहले यूज होता है ना?
getters के पहले नहीं,
नहीं, एफ गेटेस के
कहाँ
पहले जो एफ
f
फ्लश है
getters
ना, वो एफ
f
गेटेस
flush,
फंक्शन के पहले यूज होगा.
even you can use it for getters. You can try that one. So it is nothing but it works similar to your f flush all, underscore flush all. Okay, so f flush, you can try this. So it will be giving you, or that is just sorting out that problem of getting not displaying the printf or not accepting the getters values. Okay, so it can be used with f getters as well as getters also. Okay, so after this, one more thing I wanted to tell you, that we have just seen how variables, and we have seen structure variables can be accessed using dot operator, where the identifier before that dot operator is the structure variable, and after the dot operator is structure member. So apart from that, there is one more operator that is used, which is called as arrow operator, to access structure members. So when to use the dot operator and when to go for arrow operator, that depends on how you are declaring your structure variables. Okay, so if I'm defining structure variable as a normal variable, just like here person p, okay, so in that case I can use this dot operator to access your structure members. Okay, so in this case the printf can be simply p dot name, p dot year, and p dot salary, where p is this variable which is initialized to some random or some initial values, and those values get printed through this p dot name, p dot year, and p dot salary. Just like integer pointer, float pointer, or character pointer, we can have structure pointers. Okay, if you are declaring a structure pointer, so any pointer that you are declaring needs to be initialized first. It should point to some memory. And again, you remember that I cannot write here. I'll just give you example for integer. So outside this, so if I'm defining some pointer like this star p or star ip integer pointer, I cannot initialize it directly to some address. So address cannot be assigned as a value or the initial what we can say the address for that particular pointer. The pointer to which it is pointing cannot be directly assigned the value of that address. Okay, it should be address of some variable, or actually there are few functions that we are using to assign that one. Okay, so it can be address of any variable of the same data type. Okay, so you have to remember that also. So just initializing your pointer variable to some constant number or constant value is invalid again. Okay, so similarly here, if you are defining some structure variable as a pointer variable, you need to initialize that pointer variable. And if the structure variable is pointer variable, the structure members are accessed through this arrow operator. Okay, so structure variable name similar to previous one, the pointer variable name, and the structure member, and in between that we are putting that arrow. So how to write arrow is that minus sign and this greater than symbol. Okay, greater than symbol, combining this it gives us arrow operator. Okay, so two operators are used to access structure member. One is dot operator. So dot operator, if the structure variable is declared as the normal variable, and if the structure variable is pointer variable, we are using operator the structure member. Okay, so this one additional point you have to just remember that how to access that structure variables. Okay, so apart from that, we have, I think in the last lecture we have seen this how to pass structure to a function. So structure can be passed, the structure variable name is passed to the structure. Okay, here read function is defined. We are modifying that structure variable through a function, and here passing structure name is simply call by value. It's not taking any reference, so you need to return that structure. This is a single structure variable we are passing to a function. If you are dealing with a single structure variable, and that structure variable is getting modified in one of the function, so you need to return that modified function, or again if you want it to automatically update to your main function, so you have to pass the address of that particular function. In that case we need to read that address using the structure pointer, and all these should be s dot arrow, s arrow role, s arrow name, s arrow marks. Okay, so instead of dot, now those members are accessed through arrow operator, and there is no need of return statement if you are using pointers. So don't get confused between these two. So we are dealing with a single structure variable. So read function is asking user to enter a record. So we are reading that record here, and we want to update the same record for this variable st. So without returning. So if you want that to update without returning, you have to pass address of that particular variable, which can be read as a pointer in function, and through that pointer we are updating s, which is nothing but we are updating value at an address of this st. Wherever this st is allocated memory, at that memory locations actually we are storing all these values. Okay, so that is the difference between dealing with a single structure variable, but usually structures are used to represent something, the structure which has been shown in this table. Okay, so we are at a time dealing with the huge data, the number of records. Okay, and to deal with this number of records, so each row is representing one record consisting of number, name, and marks of a particular student. Okay, so to deal with this complete table, we have to go for array of structure, and that we have seen how to declare array of structure. Actually, I have shown that directly through this Eclipse example that we have implemented. So we have declared this structure. Okay, so this is your structure declaration or structure definition. Then this is where we have created array of structure. Okay, so this is called array of structure. Here the capacity of this structure structure variable or array of structure is 60. That represents maximum records, like 60 rows or 60 records you can add to your table through this particular structure. Okay, so that is what this declaration represents. And can anybody tell me, for this structure declaration, if the size or this array is declared with size 60, so how many consecutive memory is required, okay, to store or to deal with this array of structure? How many bytes of memory is required? Yes,
I'm
can
28 into
anybody?
60.
Yes, it is 28 into 60. So a single record text, 20 bytes for character, 4 for integer roll number, 4 for marks. So total 28 for a single record. So like that, 60 records we want to add to that particular array of structure. So it will be 60 into 28. So that much consecutive memory location should be available to represent your array of structure. Okay, and we have discussed these two functions, that is how to add this. Initially, what once we have declared this structure, that means you have simply defined these fields of that particular structure. Okay, and then we need to add all these records, whatever are the rows represented, we have to simply add those rows, the values in your table. So that means we have to read that complete data through the user. Okay, using this, either you can write in the main function, but we are using a function to accept the values of those tables. Okay, or to accept the values of different records. Okay, and for that, 60 is representing maximum size. Actual number of records can be less than or equals to 60, and that is why we have declared one more variable n, and that is passed as an parameter to this read function. Now, st is representing array of structure. So all the rules or whatever discussions we have done for array, passing an array to a function, so everything is applicable for this array of structure also. Okay, so 28, 28, 28, like this for every record. Every record has been stored in a memory in the consecutive memory location. So all 60 records get stored in a consecutive memory location. Okay, and that is why when you just write represent that array using st, so that st is nothing but it is representing address of your first record. Okay, st of 0, and that st of 0 is nothing but it is, so simply we can say it is the address which is containing address of, this is nothing but your first record is represented as st of 0. Okay, so this is st of 0, and address nothing but it gets address of this particular number that is roll number, whatever we have stored. Okay, so that is how it will be automatically treating that passing array of structure to a function is nothing but we are again passing reference of that particular structure, and hence any modifications you'll do in this particular st through this read, that is st, this reference of st is taken by s, and whatever modifications you'll do in this s will be automatically updated for this st, which is nothing but the actual variable. Okay, so any function that is modifying that array, so automatically update that array variable in the main function. Okay, and second thing you can observe here, n we are reading actually here, n which is representing the number of records that we want to add to that particular table, so that we are reading in a function. Okay, and if you are passing that as a normal variable, so that will be treated as call by value, so any modifications you do in this dummy variable will not be reflected for this actual variable n, and that is why again we have passed the reference of that n variable, so that even though you are modifying that or reading that m value through a function, so automatically that updated value will be known to your main function. Okay, and that is why again we have made that n also call by reference. N is passed, which is read by this pointer m variable. As m is already pointer, there is no need to write this ampersand. M is indirectly representing address of n. So we are reading assigning value for this n variable, and here the condition is now we have to read those n records. Okay, so actually we have discussed all these things, just I am revising all the things that we have done. So here whatever is the m value or the pointer value you have entered, so those many records we are reading through this scanf. Now if you want to input complete name, so you can read only integer and float values through scanf, and you can go for getters to read name. Okay, so that is about read, and once read has been done, which will perform an operation of creating a table. So this executing read is nothing but we have created this table. Okay, so depending on how many records you want to enter, and once that is created, so it will be confirmed only through display. If displaying all the records correctly, that means we have entered all the values or information corresponding to that particular table correctly. Okay, till this we have completed in the previous lecture. Okay, now coming to the next part is to perform operations on this table. So what operations I can perform on this table is various operations that we are going to perform is we will start with searching a record. Okay, so how to search a record? So for searching a record, you can go for any one of the field. You can search a record using roll number. You can search a record using name or marks. Okay, the records with with a particular marks. Okay, so it can be anything, but for our study we will keep that searching limited to roll number. You can try for remaining fields. Okay, second one is modify a record. Okay, so modifying a record, sometimes suppose we will come to know that after evaluation marks has been changed and I want to modify that particular entry of a student. Okay, so I need to search his roll number, and corresponding to that roll number I can only modify marks. Even if you will come to know that there is some mistake in the name, so we can go for change in name. Okay, so that is what is modify a record. So next is insert a record at a particular location or after a particular roll number. Okay, so this is third operation, and the next is delete a record, and finally, so I don't want to disturb the existing sequence. Okay, so I have to add, already now we have created this table through that read function, and after that I have to add a new record, so that is done using append. So adding record at the end of a table is nothing but appending a record. Okay, so append a record. So these functions now today we are going to discuss. Let us see how many we can cover today. So I'll start with searching, and again I'll type those all these function in this Eclipse only. So searching is what, we are asking user to enter one of the roll number whose record he wants to find out. Okay, want to search. So this will be treated, for example, suppose this roll number that I have highlighted, we will input that. So when the first step is it will search for that particular roll number, and if it is found, so complete record we are going to display. Okay, so how it is done? Now I'll write that search function in Eclipse. I'll add that function here. Okay, so at the end of this search function, if you want, you can return the location of that function. So searching or returning location, or here itself, I'll just keep it simple because many functions we are going to write. So I'll just keep here as void, and we have to pass to search and search a number from this, or to search we have to search a record from this structure array. Okay, and for that we need to pass those parameters as these two parameters. One is the structure array and another one is the number of records. Okay, here m we are using for number of records. Okay, and that search we are calling here, I'll just add here the prototype for search. Search return type we have kept it as void. Function name search, passing two parameters. One is array of structure. So simply represented here student. Student will be acting as the data type, user defined data type for this particular structure. Okay. So and hence only student is sufficient. Student square bracket and second is integer, and this should be terminated by semicolon. So this is your structure declaration. And now we are defining that particular structure, and after defining we will see how we can call that function. Okay, so within this function itself, I'll just ask user to enter number to be searched. Okay, so here we'll add that printf. We will ask enter a roll number whose record is to be searched. Okay, then next thing is we have to read this key value. So that is done using scanf. Okay, so this is only for Eclipse. We need this flush all scanf. We have to accept the value of roll number. Okay, it should be, it cannot be roll, it is key. And now whatever key you have entered, I have to search this key. Okay, I have to search this whatever key you enter. So that key, it is something 1023 here, corresponding to this particular example. If key entered is this, so this key is, we will compare this key with this first field, first member of the first record. Then the role field of the second record, role field of the third record, and so on. And wherever match found, there we will stop or break our loop. Okay, and to do that, we need a for loop. Okay, so to start from 0, similar to any other array, the structure array indexing starts from 0. St of 0, if I have to access the roll number field or roll number from this 0th record, so it will be done using st of 0 dot roll. St of 0 dot gives you edc, st of 0 dot marks gives you 67. Okay, and similarly here what we are doing is I equals to 0. We know the number of records are m, so comparison will go till I less than m and I plus plus. Okay, and within this now your normal linear search algorithm. So what it tells is if key is equals to I want to compare this key with the roll number field of this structure variable. Okay, so that s of I, that means now I'm comparing the 0th record, and from that 0th record we are accessing this roll field. So s of I dot roll, if it is equals to key, okay, if this match is found, what it is representing, the location for our record is found, and which is nothing but I. Okay, are you getting this? So if this condition is true, that means we have obtained the location for the number to be searched, and that location number is nothing but the index value of that array of structure. Okay, so what we will do here is simply we will put a break. Okay, so if this match is found, break that particular loop. So this break statement will break your for loop, and outside this for loop, now I will use that break value. Okay, if I'm not using this break, okay, and what will happen is that if your roll number is not existing, as I think we have discussed initially also, so if suppose the match or this condition has not been executed, is not true for any of the key value, so what will happen, your for loop will be executed for all the conditions till your this condition will become false. So in short, it will compare this key with first, second, third, fourth up to n minus 1 record. Okay, where here m minus 1 record. So nowhere your match is found. Again, it will go and increment the m value, and now m is I plus plus will be m. As m is equals to m, the condition will be false. So whenever I reaches to m, if I will reach to m, so that represents your record is not existing. Okay, try to imagine that. I'll again repeat it. So we are comparing this number. We'll assume that that number is not existing in this list. I have modified this list now. Number is not existing. This key to be searched is not existing. So it will see serially or linearly, it will compare from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 up to m minus 1. And for the next iteration, that m value will become m, the index value will become m. And whenever index value will become m, so condition will become false. Okay, so that means whenever I reaches to m, that represents your record is not existing. I'll printf that record doesn't exist, or your record not exist in the table. Okay, so else what we need to do, only one printf, so no need to actually use the brackets. So else we have to print the complete record. So if key is found, key is found at index I. I'm breaking this loop. So when we come out of this, will break this complete for loop, and we will reach to this if else. I is not M because I is some location index value where this key is existing. Okay, and now we'll make use of that I value, okay, where loop has been terminated, to print the record. Now printf, what we want to print is record found. I'll just write this as /n record found at particular location, at location %d. Okay, so you can stop me at any point if you are having any doubt. Okay, so here location is represented by I, actual location will be I plus 1, and now along with this location I want to print the values also, the complete record. Okay, and for that I'll just print here those record values. Okay, so record values, 3 values we have to print. One is roll number, second is name, for name %s, and third is marks, for that %f. What is the variable? It is s. Where that record is existing at s of I, where this condition is true. Okay, here I will not use I plus 1. The actual I location we have to access. So here I dot roll comma s of I dot name comma s of I dot marks. Okay, so this is how we have printed. We will print. So I'll just put some space before, and this will be /t, and we will just execute this particular search function. Any doubt in this search function? At the end of this if else, so that is representing end of your search function. Okay, so you can see I already discussed this. If you put your cursor after the closing bracket, it will show the corresponding opening for that. So your search function is starting here, and that is going to end at this line number 72. Only for else we have added this brackets. Okay, these brackets because we are using two printf statement. If is having only one, no need to put that bracket. If you want, even for if, you can use this brackets, but for single statement it is assumed that only one statement. If there are no brackets, only one statement get executed under that if. Okay, so this is complete for loop which we have used to search a particular key, and if key is found, break the loop. So which will break this complete for loop, and the control will be taken to this if else. And before that, simply asking user to enter number to be the roll number to be searched. Okay, and here we are passing two parameters. One is structure S, which is initialized through read function, or which has been created through your read function, and M is representing number of records. Okay, so this is your complete search function. Any doubt in this search function? Anybody is having any doubt in this?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Okay. So with this, I'll just now execute and I'll show you how exactly this search function works. Then we'll go for modify. Modify is very similar to your search function. Okay, so instead of simply displaying, we have to ask user to actually enter the new record, new fields or record that we want to modify. Okay, here, okay, wait a minute. I have not called that search function. We have simply defined, but we have not called that in main. So unless you call a function that you have defined, you cannot execute that one. And second thing, you remember that your search is not modifying the value of n. It is simply using that n. It is not changing. So n can be passed by value. No need to pass it by reference. Okay, and st automatically, as it is array, will be treated as passed by reference. Okay. So search function right now we have called, and just save, update that one. Okay. So it has not updated, giving me cross. Okay. See here, I have executed initial two functions also in the previous lecture. This search we are going to execute. So in practical, I'll just give you simply brief discussion about this. I'm going to again execute in the practical. Okay. So there you are supposed to write the code. So this is first record, 3 fields, roll number, name, marks. Then next record and the third record. Now I'm entering here. I'm randomly adding some numbers. Okay. So see here, you can see this is the display, and this is what we have obtained, or this is what is being displayed from the search function. So search may we have defined this particular statement, enter a roll number whose record is to be searched. So I'll enter 34, the last record. Okay. So we will search for that 34. It has given me record found at location 3, first, second, third. So it is at location 3, and the complete record has been displayed. So this is how you have to implement this search function. Okay. Now, if you want, instead of break, you can use your return I, and you can do everything in the main function. Here itself, you can write here location equals to search. If location equals to n, number not exist, else record not exist, else record. You need to display record at location. Okay. So if you're returning I, so it is giving actual location I plus 1. While displaying in main, it should be st of location minus 1 dot roll. Okay. So I think this is clear to you. Okay. And this is how search function works for a particular table. This is what table we have created and displayed through display function. And from this table, now we have searched a record with roll number 34. Okay. So after this, the next function that we have to discuss is modify. So modify, as I said, it is very similar to this. We are searching for a particular roll number, and instead of displaying this whole record at that location, either we are changing the name, or we are changing the marks field, or the complete record can be added as the new record, can be overwritten by the new record. Okay. So for that, I will simply copy paste this so that you will come to know how both the functions are very similar. So I'll just write here modify instead of search. Rest everything will remain same, whose record is to be modified. Okay. And again, we are searching for a roll number whose record is to be modified. The value is assigned to key. Now again, I need to search for key. So same for loop will be applicable for searching a key. Same condition if record is not existing. Else, now instead of displaying, we have to scan here new record. That is the difference. So record found at location. Instead of that, we will write here printf enter new name and marks. Okay. So that we want to modify. We will modify name as well as marks. We will not modify roll number. Okay. And that is why this should be, now instead of this, it should be scanf. So I will write that something. So here we need to add scanf instead of printf. We are asking user to enter new name and new marks field. Okay. So for name, it should be, and you have to remember for scanf, there should not be any escape character like /t/n. Okay. And there should not be any comma or anything. Okay. So only %f and %s. %s is representing string, so no need of ampersand, but for this marks you need to put that and this is what is the complete modify function. Okay, so where we have changed in this modify is simply we have changed this particular statement for modify function. Rest everything is similar to your search. Okay, I'll save this. We will go for this particular modify function. Again, you need to call that function here. Okay. So modify, you need to pass this st and number of records as an argument and terminate that. You need to declare because I have defined that after main and calling it within main. Modify student to parameter, we are passing array of structure represented by student data type and second is integer. Okay, so this is what modifications are expected
Excuse me,
in
मैम.
the existing work. Yes, बोलो.
मैम आपने स्टूडेंट का स्पेलिंग गलत लिखा है उधर इन द
कहाँ पे?
फंक्शन प्रोटोटाइप
अच्छा,
ऑफ मॉडिफाई.
okay, I'll modify. I'll change that. Modify नीचे ये सही. अच्छा,
नहीं
student
मैम
का.
आपने स्ट्रक्चर नेम चेंज
हाँ
गलत लिखा है.
हाँ. Yes, ठीक है. Okay, it has been changed and built and we will run this one again. Okay, I have added this modify. See here, every time I'll execute this program, I have to enter everything again. Okay, so roll number, name, marks, again roll number, name and marks, and one more roll number, so name and marks. Okay, so these are the three fields and we have to modify. Now I will modify the middle one, 45. So we will search for that 45 so that initially we have searched for the third. Now it is at location 2 giving me this complete record. Also it is printing. Okay, it has till this it is execution of your search function. And now again the modify also I'll go for 45, enter new name. Okay, so new name and marks. So marks, we will do this. Okay, I have made this mistake that to check this modified field, we need to call display function either in main or here itself. You have to call the display function. I'll call after modify a display function in main so that how everything that you will make or whatever you the changes make in your table, so you need to display that using your display function. Okay, or there itself you can use simply printf to print that modified whatever the modified record you have entered. I can add here printf to simply print roll number, name and marks for this new record. Okay, okay, I have called display I think you'll come to know after modifying this, I want to check whether that modified record has been correctly updated in the table. And that is why we have called this display function. Okay. Okay. It has been built, I think, successfully. And now I'll run that. Okay. 3. So okay, these are the numbers. Now first search function is getting executed. So 3 record not exist. That is also verified. And second, now for modification, I'll enter 34 new name and this marks. Initially it is 76. Now I'll enter 89 and you can see this particular record has been modified. So these fields are overwritten by whatever fields we have entered for that particular location 34. Is that clear how modify is working? Yes. Any doubt till this search and okay. With this now we will come to our next insert a record. Now I have to insert a record after roll number this after this roll number. So for that what you need to do is we have to make space for a number. Okay, we have to make here I'll just show you. I'll insert above. So we have to make space for a new record to be added. So this space thing is I'll search for this particular roll number, after which we have to insert a new record. And from that location onwards, whatever are the records, so all those records will be shifted to the next position. Okay, instead of insert, first I'll discuss delete. That will be easier, and then we'll go for insert. Okay, if I have to delete a particular record with roll number that we will enter, so to delete that record with the entered roll number, so what you need to do is you have to simply shift your numbers. You have to shift this particular record to the previous one. Okay, so I have to, suppose I have to delete this particular record. That means 402 will be shifted. This complete row will be shifted to the previous position. 404 will be shifted to 402. 411 will be shifted to 404 and so on. And finally, you have to just completely remove this particular row from the table. So how we can remove this? Actually, we cannot physically remove this particular row. Okay, so that row will be there itself. Only what will reduce is the count of your record, so that your table will be represented with n minus 1 records after deleting a particular record. Okay, so how to implement that delete? Okay, or how exactly what we have discussed can be implemented. So again, I will use the same function. Here we will call that as delete. Okay, so enter a roll number whose record is to be deleted. Okay, now apart from this I required one more for loop. So till this the record to be deleted, roll number is in key, searching for that particular location, and we want to delete this record s of I. We want to delete this complete row S of I. Okay. So if I equals to M, record not exist, else how to delete this one? We have to simply overwrite this S of I with S of I plus 1th record. Okay. So that means we have to simply the next record to the previous one. Previous is what? To be deleted. The ith record that we want to delete should be overwritten by, it should be overwritten by I plus 1th record. Is that clear? Only this change is required. I am overwriting this. Suppose this row is to be deleted. I am simply shifting this and overwriting on this. Okay. Similarly, automatically you can see the previous record has been overwritten by this. Okay. So we are simply shifting these records. So this will be shifted to previous. The previous one is already shifted to the previous location. Okay. So that is done by executing this S of I equals to I plus 1. That's all. And this will perform. Okay. Uh, Here, now we want to reduce your M by M minus 1. Okay. So M will be reduced after deleting, number of records are reducing. Okay. And as here number of records are reducing, when you call this delete here, okay. So if I will not change the value of M, or that M, if it is not returned or that is not updated for N, which is the actual number of records that we are going to handle in main. So it will simply repeat the last record twice. Okay. And to avoid that, again, we are passing delete function is modifying your n value. It is reducing this n value by 1 in function. And to automatically update that n in main function, we have to pass reference of that n. So it will be called by reference now. Okay. Display is simply accessing, modify is simply accessing, not changing the value of n. And that is why we have passed that n by value, whereas here we are passing that n by reference, because delete is changing the value of n by 1. Okay. And without returning that, we want to update that n value in main function. That is why we have passed here reference of n. Okay, and to read that reference, your delete function should make you pointer. So instead of normal m, it should be star m. So always remember the star m is representing value, m is representing address of n, star m value at address of n, which is nothing but the actual number of records. And now here I have to reduce that star m with star m minus 1. This you can also write it as star m minus minus. This will be treated as address will be reduced by 1, not value. And if you have to reduce value, you have to put the star m minus minus or minus minus star m. Okay. So this is also very important to represent the difference between star m without bracket minus minus. It will be treated that minus minus we are performing on pointer, not on value, whereas we want to reduce the value of m by 1. Okay, and that is why star m equals to star m minus 1. And this will automatically update that n value. And now we will check after this delete. Again, I'll call that display and we will check whether it is working properly or not. Okay. So just we'll execute this particular function. So we have finished today's searching a record, modify a record, and deleting a record. Okay, I'll show you working of this delete a record. Okay, this should be pointer and data type we need to mention over there. Okay, so integer star. Oh. Hmm. Okay, so one more mistake we have made here, writing this s of I equals to s of I plus 1 is simply a single record we have shifted. What about this? For that, actually, here we
But in
need to
the if
go.
statement, you have to write asterisk m.
Yes, I have written the. Okay, here. Hmm. Okay, that is also one correction remaining. Yeah, good. And another one is we have to shift all the records. Okay, and for that I need the J, and J will start from I. It will start from I. J less than. Now I want to go for M minus 1. That is, your M minus 1th record should be shifted to M minus 2. I'll, this is M minus 1 should be shifted here. So your loop should be less than M minus 1. Okay. This is M minus 1, star M minus 1. Okay. And it is J plus plus. And this should be simply J will be shifted to J plus 1 will be shifted to J. Okay. And then this end of your for loop. Okay, so all the errors have been removed. I'll check that. Delete, enter 3. So third record, I'll enter here now. Okay. So these are the 3 records. So everything we need to execute. For that, you need to add actually the which case statement 56. Okay, I'll for this also record not exist. And now we want to go for delete. So I'll delete this 34, the first record itself. Okay. See here, this is how your function will delete and display the record. So automatically the first record has been deleted and remaining 2 have been shifted to the previous location. Okay. If you try t of 0, st of 0 dot roll, so it will give you 56 and not 34. Okay, or not any 0 or anything. So this is what is the complete uh, read. This green portion is giving you read function, execution of read, execution of display function, search function for search record not found. For modify also we have done record not found, and this is what is the delete function. Okay, so deleting a particular record by searching that record with roll number. Okay, so delete के लिए you have to remember we are passing reference of n because n is getting modified here. Okay, and that is why it should be call by reference, and automatically that m the change in m will be reflected to your main function for n, and it is taking that modified value of n and displaying only 2 records through this display function, which has been called after delete. So that's all about your search, modify, and delete function. And I have simultaneously shown how it can be executed in Eclipse. So if anybody is having any doubt in this, you can just ask. Otherwise, you can just go through the program or this video or PPTs or whatever books you'll be having. And if you're having any doubt, we can discuss those in the practical session. Okay. So I'll stop recording and we will